Good evening, adventurers, and welcome back to the maze. I am Carl, the master of mazes. With me, as always, is my son Stephen, the apprentice.
What up?
Thank you for joining us, and welcome to MazeCast episode number 25. So we've got some things to talk about, so let's jump right in. Today is this weekend so far. It's Saturday, the 11th,
Yep.
and it has been a D&D weekend for me. We had our Kingdom of Keshanar game last night. We have got some photos up on our Instagram if you want to check those out. Our friend Mandy, who plays Saphira, one of the siblings, Divine Soul Sorcerer, she surprised me last night at the table with a homemade, scratch built initiative tracker that she's making that is totally Egyptian themed.
It's really cool.
It's got
I saw the picture
it's
earlier.
got
It's awesome.
sand on it. It's got monoliths, and then she's putting these little items on it that that relate to each character. There's a little gold lamp that relates to our warlock that can hide in his lamp if he needs to. It's got a little statue of Bastet, the goddess Bastet, because my wife Autumn plays a paladin who worships Bastet. And then there's a little pyramid there, and there's a little sphinx on it, and she's going to add some more things to it, and it's going to be amazing. So there's some photos up on Instagram if you want to check those out. We will have a recap of last night's very eventful game. That's going to go up on our mastersmaze.com, our website. We'll have a write up over there. Probably get that up, try to get it up tomorrow, Monday at the outside, but we will have links for that down in the description for you guys to check out. Today, we played the Flagon game. This is the first time we've been back at the table with this group since the 13th of March. A couple guys have been out of town. A lot of scheduling conflicts, as we start to move into spring with kids on spring break, things like that. But we were able to get back to the table today at 2 o'clock, and we played until 5:30, and they really didn't want to quit. But I had other things to do, unfortunately, so I had to call the game, but we had a great time. The party had a lot of fun. There's a Book of Shadows involved, and it's kind of really messing with the party's head. So I will get that recap up for you guys to read as well as some photos from the table where we had a lot of fun. Tomorrow, Sunday, will be the Master and Apprentice game. Stephen has got up his recap for our session 10. That was our game from last weekend, and he's still writing it in relation to outdoor writing into his journal, which I think makes for a really interesting way to read the recap on it. But give that a read. We'll have a link down in the show notes for you guys to check that out over on our website. Stephen, what are your thoughts so far on the game, especially after the events of session 10?
It's awesome. We're having a really good time. It's been it's been interesting for all of us to kind of like. I think we brought this up before, but I haven't played since I was a kid. It was probably like second edition.
Yeah.
So to get back into it and jump right into fifth edition, I'm having a blast. Our buddy Nathan is kind of in the same boat where he probably hasn't played since second edition, and he's having fun. Really, I think where all of us are having the most fun is watching our friend Josh play. He's
Yeah.
never played any tabletop game ever. And we're kind of it's the game is kind of revolving around him simply on the fact that like all of us like I know a lot of the D&D characters and monsters and all that. So when Dad is describing something and I know what it is or a situation that I kind of am like, oh, I bet I know. I'm having the most fun like watching Josh's reaction.
Oh,
Right
yeah.
now in the recap, we're in the Neverwinter Woods, and there's some things that are kind of haunting Josh's character Cade, and it's like I'm having so much fun just kind of like seeing what he thinks and what he's doing, and
Oh,
he
yeah.
talks about it all week at work. I mean, again, it's just kind of it reminds you on why you want to sit down at the table and play. I mean, obviously, I'm having fun playing my character and building kind of like this battlefield controller style character. It's fun for me to theory
Mhm.
craft, but really the most fun is just like watching a new player kind of discover what
Yeah.
this is what we're selling to people. We're trying to get people in on this
Right.
hobby, and you can watch in real time somebody starting to understand. I totally get why this is so fun. I
Oh, yeah.
totally, and it's like we're getting to watch it in real time. It's not, it's not an article on the internet. It's our friend discovering this hobby. So that's easily the best part of my week every week because of that. And
Yeah.
obviously
Josh
getting
is
to hang
having a
out. I mean,
blast.
getting to hang out with my dad is
And
very cool. But
yeah,
you know,
I tell you what, the best part for me is as soon as we drop out of the Discord, Josh immediately sends me a text message. Oh my God, I had so much fun. I've looked forward to this all week.
yeah,
And it's like, you know what, that just does my heart good to see somebody new to the game who's just thoroughly enjoying it the way he
Yeah, I
is,
mean
and that's what it's all
he
about.
talks about it. I mean, him and I work together. He talks about it all week at work. He'll come in and he'll be like, "Oh, I should have done. I was just thinking about it this morning. I should have done this and not that." And like this is like I mean, we have been 4 or 5 days since the game, and he's still thinking, "Oh, I should have asked this," or "I forgot I had
Right.
this in my backpack." And actually, he was going to be on this episode tonight. Kind of, Dad and I were talking about maybe getting him in here to talk about it. He's at a baseball game, so he couldn't
Yeah.
join. But soon, probably, we will have
Yep.
him on here, and maybe even Nathan to kind of go through how they feel. And
Yeah.
so anyway, we're having a blast.
Yeah.
It's been awesome. I can't wait
Yeah.
till tomorrow.
Session 11 is tomorrow, so look for that session 10 recap. We'll have it down in the show notes for you guys to check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Session 11 is tomorrow night, so we'll probably have that recap up middle of next week for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And like Steven said, we are planning to have some guests here very soon. We'd love to have Josh on as a new player to kind of give his thoughts and how things are going and what his take is on D&D. Does it live up to the hype and things of that nature? We'd also like to have Nathan on. Nathan's old hand who played first and second edition, but again, has not played in a while, but now he's back into 5e and he's having fun with us. He plays a lot of video games and stuff with us online too.
Mm-hmm.
But moving forward, we would like to have some guests on the show. So we will probably have my wife back at some point to kind of give you a perspective from a female gamer's point of view, why she plays, what, and things like that. So look for those things in the very near future from us. We'll have some shorts and we'll have some guests here on the podcast. So
Mm-hmm.
we want to also give a shout out to our sponsor, Dubby. Dubby is constantly being supportive of us, and
Oh yeah.
I see them out there supporting other creators. I just got my order today, where I ordered some stuff from them because they had a special. So I cannot wait to break that stuff out tomorrow because after gaming all weekend, I'm going to probably need it tomorrow. So
Yeah.
definitely a shout out for Dubby. We'll have their link down in the show notes where if you use our code, you get a discount on your order.
Mm-hmm.
And let them know the Master at Maze sent you.
Yeah,
So
I've got their new flavor, gummy bear, coming in.
that's one of the ones I ordered.
Sour gummy
Yep.
bear. I can't wait
Yep.
for that one. It's not in yet, but I'm excited.
And I ordered the blue Raz, which looks really good.
Yeah,
So
my favorite so far has been Galaxy Grenade. I love that one. It's awesome.
I haven't tried that one
It's
yet.
very good.
Yeah. Let's jump into some TTRPG news. Not really super new news, but we kind of mentioned this briefly once before, but I wanted to go back and touch on the fact that Hasbro got hacked recently. They had a regulatory filing, which they have to do by law. Hasbro said it's taken some of their systems offline. They're using some temporary measures to kind of keep taking orders and shipping products and trying to prevent a major interruption of their workflow and their business flow. They do have a business continuity plan that'll probably go on for several weeks, possibly extend into a month or more until the situation is fully resolved. The last thing they said was that they are still working on it, trying to find out what the impacts were, what systems, if there's any sort of data breach. But they're still assessing the fullest scope of the impact. But there is going to be a link down in the show notes for you guys to check that out. I know some of the people online do order from Hasbro and from WotC, so there could be some impacts to some of your orders, guys. So keep that in mind when you order from them here in the very near future. We want to talk about Greyhawk. We talked about that on our last podcast, episode 24, about Luke Gygax's involvement and the announcement at GaryCon that there will be a new Greyhawk sourcebook coming, and that it will be Luke Gygax will be part of the writing team behind that. I don't know if he's the coordinator or how that's going to work, but apparently there is a writing team. That writing team includes Jay Scott, who some of you may or may not know. He has gone online recently to say that the Greyhawk book is going to not be called the Shieldlands. It's going to be called Borderlands of Iuz. And not only that, but he referred to it several times in the article as Book One, which tickles me because it sounds like there's going to be several books in that series. So it looks like they do plan on expanding the Greyhawk setting again for us, which gives us another playground. So definitely always down for a new setting and new books on my shelf for me to read and get interesting ideas from. So take a look at that. We'll have a link in the show notes for you guys to take a look at that, see what you think. I believe it is going to basically be set for 5.5e, but I mean, with a little bit of conversion, we can always scale it back to 5e if we'd like, or even back to 2e if you'd like. He says there will not be any WotC personnel involved with the project at all.
Hmm.
So the writing team will be made up, I guess, of freelancers who will be working with Luke Gygax on the series. So no WotC people. So you take that for what it's worth to you personally. Is it going to be a benefit, not a benefit? I'm going to wait and see when the product comes out to see let the product speak for itself. But I'm kind of excited for it. So I believe that is scheduled for release sometime end of this year or maybe early next year, maybe first quarter next year. But we'll keep you posted.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we did want to touch on the villainous arcana that came out, the villainous options. Stephen and I have kind of talked about a little bit offline. Um, we all know that Stephen and I both feel that the game is already heavy enough with subclasses. I think
Mm-hmm.
last count, including homebrew stuff, third-party content, there's somewhere in the neighborhood of like 200 plus subclasses now, which is kind of getting out of control.
Mm-hmm.
It does add the option if you want to run an evil campaign for your players to start kind of moving their characters to be like arch villains, especially when you take into consideration the Death Knight and the Lich. My problem personally with it, and just looking at the Lich, is the fact that you take a few feats and spend a couple of levels, and now you're a Lich. It's always seemed like the lore has had it as being a much longer, much more difficult, much more tedious process. But I want to read into it a little bit more before I give my final opinion. But Steven, do you have any thoughts?
Um, so I think the new subclasses are interesting. Just on like the content and fantasy behind them alone. Not yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, obviously we're talking about the villainous past, but the subclasses are also cool. The druid, namely, is the one I saw a lot about, which was the Circle of the Titan, which is their new
That looks pretty
path that they
cool.
can take, where they could turn into a behemoth, a leviathan, or a giant insectoid. And as they
Right.
level, they get larger and larger until they can reach what's called gargantuan size. Um,
Basically,
I
think
think
I don't know Tarask.
yeah, and like I think that's interesting, but I also think like again, I'm not going to go into a rabbit hole about like subclasses because I do think they're just like there's way too many, and I think the band-aid that they are of like oh let's make it so everyone doesn't play the same character. They've
Right.
all it's like they've done the opposite damage now. Now there's too many, and it's like nobody knows what to play, so everybody plays the same character because there's too many. Um,
Right.
so I think like a Titan Druid or like I think the cleric is like a disease or a pestilence domain cleric now is
Pestilence
one,
cleric. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
or the new villains like the Death Knight or the Lich. Like why not just allow that to be like its own skill tree or class fantasy you build into? Like they're I
Right.
mean I get it. They're trying to sell books. They're trying to sell content. I totally get it. But
Yeah.
every time I see subclasses, I'm like, wow, those are really cool. And then I'm like, why can't that just be baked into the game as things that you can just do?
Yeah.
Like, why is it a subclass? It's I made the
Yeah.
joke in my
I don't.
article of like going to a restaurant and it's like I want to order a sandwich. I'm going to get a turkey sandwich, and it's like, oh, can I get tomatoes? Whoa, whoa, whoa! You're already subclassed into a turkey sandwich. You can't get a tomato
Yeah.
now. Like,
You
and
get
it's
turkey,
like,
buddy. That's it.
yeah,
Turkey
and,
on
and
white
it's
bread.
like
There you go.
so it's like it's a silly metaphor, but my point is like subclasses are an imperfect fix to a
Right.
imperfect system. So again, I love the content. I love the class fantasy that comes with the new content. I just wish they could
Mm-hmm.
find a way to just bake it into the world. Like
I
you should
think.
just
I
why not
think
be evil?
me
Just like hey,
personally.
I'm evil now. Like you killed my family, now I'm an evil character. Done. Like
I think speaking from a DM's perspective, if you as a character decide you and your party and your table sit down with your DM and you say, hey, we want to do an evil campaign.
mm-hmm,
So long as you and your DM have a very real discussion on what that is going to look like at the table,
mm-hmm,
how that's going to impact the world around you, and what that means for your characters basically becoming like hunted fugitives, wanted villains, things like that.
mm-hmm.
If that's the route you want to go, I think there's potential there.
Sure.
I don't think you need if you're a wizard and you're like, hey, my ultimate goal DM is I want to become a lich, live forever, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's great. I don't think that you need to have a specialized class to do that. I think you and
Mm-hmm.
your DM can sit down, study the lore on
This is what I want
liches,
to do.
and say, yeah, and come up with a path that, okay, by this level you should have done X, by this level you should have
Yeah.
done Y, and these things are moving you in that path.
Yeah.
And then that way you don't need a subclass for it. You're still a wizard. You're just
Yeah.
taking these extra steps behind the scene when you're not out adventuring to do those things. I need to secure a phylactery. I need to basically learn necromantic magic, things of those natures.
Yeah.
So I think again, I think it is a ploy to sell more material, more books, and that's fine. That's what they're in business to do. I just don't think it's necessary.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I think, and I have the same argument with a lot of video games where like DLC comes out or an expansion comes out, and
yeah,
it's like, there's new content, okay, but then it's like, why is like quality of life and interesting content, interesting things that are being added to the base vanilla version of the game locked behind a
right.
paywall of an expansion, or in this case, a module or a new Unearthed Arcana or whatever?
New
Why
source
like
book, yeah,
why not just add it to the base experience of the game? And like I know some people would be like, well then the base experience is going to get huge. The base experience of a TTRPG, the reason that tabletop games are so good is because the base experience is exactly what you make it.
right,
There is like
right,
people get like overwhelmed, and it's like, dude, you're missing the whole point. If you want your game to set in Baldur's Gate only, and you want your characters to have this set of powers and they're going against this set of enemies, that is your base game. Like if they add
right,
if 5.5 or 6.0, the 6th edition, comes out and they add all this crap to it, you at your table, y'all can decide like, oh, I don't really like this or this. Let's do this, and just build your. It's all tailor made for what you want to do. So, like in my
right. I
opinion,
mean,
having the largest pool of powers, classes, identity, like class identity, power fantasy, just the way you want to play, like having the biggest pool possible of that, and then players pick out of that what they want for their campaign, and then move
right,
on. Like in my article, I was like, why do you there like a paladin, a fighter, a barbarian, this that could all be like one melee class. Like you could just pick like, hey, my guy's a melee, it's a man at arms, that's my class, and then it's like,
right,
okay, at level 2, first level you get kind of generic stuff. It's like, okay, level 2, it's like, okay, level 2, I want a holy spell, I want smite, I want this, I want that. Well, now you're kind of like building into a paladin, but that doesn't mean you're not allowed to build over here a little bit and build like, oh, I want to use a bow
right,
sometimes too, or do this or do that. Like as soon as you get to a
right.
subclass, it's almost like you're locked in now, and now you can't do all this
Yeah,
other cool stuff. And I
yeah.
hate like there's so much cool shit in the Forgotten Realms and D&D in general that you're just like by third level, it's like, welp, you'll have to play another campaign and try it then, and
Well,
it's like that
and
sucks, man.
that's one of the reasons I backed DC 20 on Kickstarter.
Mm,
We've talked about DC 20, but it's been a while since we have. DC 20 is basically what Alan, the dungeon coach, has done.
mm,
Is he's taken the best parts of like D&D, the best parts of like Pathfinder, and then some homebrew rules, and kind of come up with a concept that gives you the flexibility to kind of pick and choose
mm,
from different classes what you might want to take. Hey, I want to be a fighter, but I want the ability to maybe be sneaky and sneak around, maybe get sneak attack or something like that. It allows you to kind of pick and choose to tailor make a character to fit the concept that's in your head without getting pigeonholed into, well, I'm going to take one level in this class, I'm going to take
mm.
2 levels in that class, and I'm going to take a subclass over here. Now I got this very strict path I have to follow, and it kind of binds my hands for a while. DC 20 is a little different than that. So I'm really curious about seeing when that book comes out,
Yeah.
how that reads, and then maybe role testing that with my group
Yeah.
and seeing what they think.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, if you want to get in the weeds with it, like I have my article written, and I'd really, if you guys want to check that out and read that, I think there's some cool points that I was able to make just by talking
absolutely.
to Dad and some other folks. But I think there's ways, and probably, this project that we're talking about now, that when it comes out, they're probably going to at least have a similar version of this. But how I thought about it is
Yeah.
like, okay, you choose a man at arms when you start a character. This character is basically geared towards melee people. That doesn't
Right.
mean they have to be melee. That's just kind of like you started the game as a melee focused character.
Right.
Let's say like every 5 levels or something, there's a capstone or a specialty that a man at arms can get that, like, if you're playing a wizard, you cannot get. I think like you kind of go in these stages where everything in between the stages is kind of up for anybody. You can grab it. You can
Right.
grab it as any class.
Yeah.
But then it's, let's say at level 5 a man at arms. It's like, okay, man at arms, you're kind of specking like, do I want to be a damage guy, a kind of a support character, or like a range character? And it's like
Right.
like at these little checkpoints, there's like these only a man at arms can get it. However, in between those checkpoints, if you want to be a wizard, that's like, yeah, I'm a wizard, but I also use a longsword. You can get some melee.
Right.
You can get some melee points in there. And the only games I know of that do something like this, um, Elden Ring does something similar, where basically
Mhm.
everything is just in your stats, like strength, constitution, whatever. every
Right.
class starts out with a base set, and then there's no restriction on, oh, I want to put a few points into this and get tankier. And then the weapons and spells just have a requirement,
Right.
like, oh, you can't wield this unless you have 15 strength or whatever. But like, you can
Right.
start as any class and put points into any attribute and use anything in
Right.
the game as long as you meet it. Um,
Yeah.
and
Kind of
then
like what Skyrim does.
yeah,
The
exactly.
system of
Yeah,
Skyrim.
exactly. And then like Path of Exile goes the other way, where basically the skills and the passive bonuses and all that stuff is on a giant star map, and every class has the same star map. But if you
Yep.
pick, depending on what class you pick, you kind of puts you in a certain spot in that star map. So if you pick a
Right.
barbarian, you're probably starting in the strength section of it. But that does
Mm-hmm.
not stop a barbarian from building in any which way he wants.
Yeah,
Um,
building into a stealth role or taking picking
yeah,
up magic.
and like the
Yeah.
thing is like that game punishes you for building kind of incorrectly, and but I think TTRPGs there's ways to get around it where if a player builds themselves into a hole, you can probably help them
Mhm.
get out of it or spec out or do something different. But I mean, where all this
Yep.
is going is that article's about this, and a lot of people understand this problem where like
Right.
subclasses are not the fix, making things more on rails, like, oh, you're gonna be an arcane trickster, here you go, and like just sends you down this path now. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
okay, that like, and I'm on that path now, like I'm playing a rogue in our game. I got arcane trickster because it kind of just lends itself to a crowd control, espionage style character.
Right.
um and I really like how I'm building it and what I'm picking because it gives me a lot of leverage. But like, Dad's pretty good as a DM to be like, hey, you can do this, but also like that doesn't rule you out of doing X, Y, or Z. Whereas like in the
Right.
books, it's like you're an arcane trickster. Here's your next 40 levels, the end,
Well,
and it's like,
well, to
okay,
quote Gary Gygax, the rule book is just guidelines.
it should be,
You
yeah,
can you can use them, you can ignore them, you can alter them.
yeah,
It all comes down to what you and your table agree to do. You can alter those things, use them any way you want.
hmm,
I am really good about allowing flexibility. I think that that gives players agency, but it also kind of breaks you out of that mold that the rules are the rules and I can't think outside the rules.
yeah,
There's always room, I think, for agreement for somebody to come up to a DM and say, I know that the rule says this, but what I'd really like to do is this. And if you can come to an agreement, it doesn't break your game, go for it.
yeah. I mean, I think that's what makes TTRPG special, because like as good as games are, video games or whatever, like they are built to cater to a certain experience that they want you to have. There's
Right.
not like a let me pause the game and like change the rules in the game. Like other than turning the difficulty up or down, most games don't let you alter the game experience in any significant way. Whereas a
Right.
TTRPG, you could talk to the DM who's effectively controlling how the game works and say, "Hey, I know I'm doing this, or I know I don't have this spell or this, but can I make this happen?" And if you can
Right.
make it work, I mean, you can literally kind of write this cohesive and collaborative narrative with like the entire party and the dungeon master at the same time. And that's what I encourage people to do. Like just because your class is or subclass is this or your class is that, like that should not lock you out of anything, both in the rule set but also in your mind. Like don't be like, well, there's nothing I can do. I'm a fighter. I can't do anything. And it's like
No.
that's where TTRPGs shine, and you can kind of push the boundary a little bit on like what is quote allowed. So
Right.
any
100%.
game that encourages that, like that DC 20 game, I am all in. Like I think that is exactly where TTRPGs should be.
Yep. So let's jump into some TV, movie, and pop culture news. I was pretty excited to read the news this past week that Spaceballs 2 now has an official release date for theaters. It has been announced that that will hit theaters on April 23rd, 2027. There was no word on whether it'll be a limited release or a major release. I guess we will wait and see. I guess that kind of depends on the studios and how much faith they have in it. I'm hoping that it releases in a theater near me. I am a big fan of the original Spaceballs movie. I love Mel Brooks. I love the chemistry of that movie. I love the fun that I like the fact that it poked fun at Star Wars, but
It
it
was
did it in
great.
a way that also paid a homage to it. So I'm pretty excited about that. So we're going to have a link for that announcement down in the show notes for you guys to check out.
Hmm.
Hopefully you're excited about it as I am. Let's talk about some more movie news. Moving from sci-fi into fantasy. Lord of the Rings: The Hunt for Gollum has officially announced. Their director has announced that apparently they are going to have to recast Aragorn. I know that originally they had said the studio had said the director had said that they were going to have they were going to have original actors back. They were going to have Viggo Mortensen back to play Aragorn, and they were going to have Ian McKellen back to play. I'm sorry, Sir Ian McKellen back to play Gandalf. My understanding is Ian McKellen is still on board, but Viggo Mortensen is out. There's no explanation as to why. I don't know if it was a mutual agreement or Viggo just didn't want to do it or what have you. But they are going to recast that role. No word yet on who that's going to be. There is a lot of speculation and rumors on the internet, but nothing is official yet. So that's where we're going to fall. Is there's no official casting yet.
Mm-hmm.
But there is news that Kate Winslet has been tapped to join the cast. But no news yet on what role she's going to play. So I'm thinking Elf is where I'm leaning, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have a link for that down in the show notes for you guys to check out. I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan, so if it feels like the original trilogy did, I'm down to watch it. So we'll see what happens.
I think it'll be good. I mean, Andy Serkis was obviously Gollum, and he's played all kinds of incredible roles, and he's the director. So I feel like he's got a love and an understanding of the franchise probably better than most anybody outside of the people that directed the originals.
I want to say there was a link recently where he took some friends down to New Zealand and they visited the Shire.
Yeah,
I think he had some photos and stuff of him online on his social media where he was there with friends. And I'm like, and this isn't the first time he's done it. I think he's been there several times. He's been to some of the sets. He is a huge fan of
his work like in body capture for Gollum, not only Gollum, but he also did Caesar in the Planet of the Apes, the new series, and he was in all the Marvel movies as I can't remember his name in that, but he was cool in that. I mean, he's just a great guy, and he seems like he genuinely cares. I don't hate the idea of them having to recast Aragorn simply because this takes place before, like technically right at the beginning of Fellowship of the Ring. And Viggo was Aragorn to me. He always will be. And he's been in some The Road, all these incredible movies. But we need like a young Aragorn in this, or a younger. I mean, he was basically 80 years old when this happened. But
he was 80 years old at this time.
But he needs to look like Aragorn looked at the very beginning of Fellowship. That's when this happens. So I get it. I think there's some people I think would be awesome. The one that comes to mind I know is too busy. Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yes,
he would be incredible, but he's just like the busiest actor in the world right now. I mean, every time I turn around, there's videos of him on set for some movie that's not even announced yet. So I don't know how he would do it.
I mean, he's constantly busy.
He's going to be in Robert Eggers' Werewolf. That's going to be insane.
We'll keep you guys posted as we hear more news and things pop up online. So check back with us, and we'll let you know what we find out.
Mm-hmm.
We want to jump into some Kickstarter news now. Castle Wolfmoon, the last unpublished module that was done by Gary Gygax and Chris Clark, is going to be dropping on Kickstarter soon. I don't remember the exact date off the top of my head, but we will have a link in the show notes for you guys to check it out. This is the third in the series, and I am pretty excited about checking it out. I love all of Gary Gygax's stuff. Some people complain about his stuff being a little too hard, but it's a product of its time. They're classic dungeon crawls, so they're not easy to do, but they are a lot of fun, and it forces your players to think outside of just sorting, boarding, and spelling their way through everything. So I like those things that make players lean into resources and lean into their skills to try to get through a dungeon. So I'm pretty excited to see what they do with Castle Wolfmoon. So we'll have a link for that in the show notes for you guys. I want to give a shout out to our friend over at Flintlock and Fog. You guys may remember earlier in my Instagram, I played a live beta test with him online of his Flintlock and Fog TTRPG. It's a TTRPG that's set in like Victorian England, and there is some mystery to it. There's a little bit of like almost like a Cthulhu feel to it. There is some magic, things like that, but it's low level magic. But it's a lot of fun. It's kind of like a horror detective type thing. They think like Bison, if you've played Bison. It kind of has a Bison feel to it. But it's a lot of fun, and he is actually going to be launching his RPG on Kickstarter. We've got the original rules, quick start rules that he did online, but now he's going to launch that on Kickstarter and put out some actual published material. So we want to support him. So we'll have a link for that down in the show notes for you guys to check out. I think it's really cool that he works in like actual historical events into his games and actual historical figures. Like my character actually ran into Sherlock Holmes briefly in our game, which was really fun, as well as some historical lords and ladies. Um, so if you're a history nerd like me, it kind of tickles that fancy for you. So
Yeah.
definitely something you want to check out if that's something that interests you.
Yeah,
So
I'm a
all right.
huge like closet Sherlock nerd.
Yep.
And his one of his early the Flintlock and Fog ready to run starter campaigns that he's releasing is called A Study in Indigo, where if you're a Sherlock
Yep.
fan, you know A Study in Scarlet is one of Doyle's
Yep.
writings. And in
Yep.
this ready to start campaign, it Sherlock Holmes and Watson vanishes, and you're hired to help find him.
Help find it. Yeah.
So that's
It's
super
pretty
cool.
cool.
And I
Yeah.
love the nod to the original title. So
Yeah. I
we've
do
been
too.
following and we've been collaborating and talking about Flintlock and Fog since the very
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah, he had a game he wanted us to jump into, but unfortunately, my schedule, Steven's schedule,
Mhm.
didn't kind of line up where we could play. But we obviously wish him the best,
Oh
and we
yeah,
are going to be
he's a good buddy
supporting
of
him.
ours, and we keep close ties to him and his project. And I've already got this saved. I'm gonna back it. It's the 21st. I actually just watched one of his Instagram stories before this video, and I believe it's the 21st that this goes live.
He's
I'm
the 21st.
absolutely gonna back it the highest
Oh yeah,
amount. I mean, I'm a Sherlock fan and a tabletop game fan. I'm all in. So
yeah, all in. So let's talk about some video games.
sure.
So like I said, this weekend has been a big gaming weekend for me.
Hmm.
You know what? If I could do this for a living, or I could do this as just a retired guy every day, I would totally be okay with it. Because
Hmm.
Steven and I got online about for an hour and a half,
Hmm.
and played some Helldivers, and boy, oh boy, did we not only have fun, but we got our butts kicked.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were fighting some automaton missions that we thought were going to be easy.
Yeah.
It was just the two of us. We did have a couple of random players jump in with us until our buddy Nathan could jump in with us there at the end. But holy cow, were these missions tough. I
Yeah.
mean, it's still a lot of fun. I don't mind dying. Sometimes I wonder why I died,
Yeah.
but it's a lot of fun. It's just a really fun, very immersive game with a lot of lore. I didn't realize until Steven started sending me some links and videos
Hmm.
just how big this community is.
Oh, it's
I mean,
insane.
not only the online community and the Discord
Hmm.
community and the Instagram communities, but the fact that these people are starting to have community gatherings and
Yep.
actual cons
Yep.
for Helldiver,
Yep.
where the devs are showing up
Yep.
dressed in Helldiver armor and giving out like awards and gifts, and kind of inspiring the Helldiver community to grow.
Hmm.
We're excited about the fact that this is actually a thing.
Yeah.
So we're going to be looking at maybe attending one of these Helldiver conventions in the near future, and
Yeah.
shoot some
It's
reports for you guys and let you know what we think.
it's the first Helldivers 1 was a top-down like twin stick, arcade game basically on
Uh-huh.
PlayStation 4, I think. And it
Yep.
was it was fun. I mean, it was basically the same. You drop on a planet, do missions and try to get out. But it was very limited in the scope. It was kind of an arcadey shoot 'em up game.
Yeah.
Um, and when this game came, when Arrowhead was like, "Yeah, we're dropping Helldivers 2," people were excited because the original was just like a beloved arcade game. And
Right.
when this game dropped, people were like, whoa, this is like lightning in a jar. Like this is,
It is.
and for me, it touches on the same kind of, it scratches the same itch as like Left 4 Dead did, where like,
Oh yeah.
the game, um, it's just the gameplay is nailed. Like it is fun. You want to
Oh
go
yeah.
back and play more and more and more and more of it.
Yeah.
And it kind of harkens back to an older age of games where like there's not a lot of BS. You basically click play game. You're dropping into a mission with your boys. You're running around shooting stuff up. A lot of silly stuff. It's kind of over the top, tongue in cheek, kind of like
Oh yeah.
Starship Troopers is. It's
Yeah.
super Earth and for democracy, and your leg gets blown off, and your
Oh
guy's
yeah.
like, "Oh, sweet liberty, my leg," and you're rolling
Yeah.
around on the ground. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
my life for Super
yeah, and
Earth.
it's like
Some of the commentary from your characters
yeah,
as you're playing the game
it's just
it's
awesome,
just
and the game
it's
is like
insane and over the top.
yeah, and it's
It
like
really is.
the game is like in on its own joke. Like it's breaking the
Oh
fourth
yeah.
wall with you as you play it, and like, but where Dad was kind of talking, the game's community is incredible.
Hmm.
The developers are like so devoted, and where I want to give kudos to them is they had a game that was going to be successful no matter what with Helldivers
Right.
2. But what's
Right.
the most interesting about it is how they they add to the overall game world and the fantasy that you're playing in, because instead of just like every day you log in, you kill stuff, you get XP, you level up, okay, great. There's these things called major orders in the game.
Right.
And the developers use this major order system to kind of direct. They're acting as almost like a dungeon master, where they're like,
Right.
oh, on this side of the galaxy, the Terminids have taken over this planet and have completely, killed everybody and done all this. So it's like, okay, we need, Helldivers to kill 5 million bugs or something like that.
Yeah.
And for the week, all the players are going to this planet. They're doing this order, and it's like, and the devs are like, "Hey, if you do it, we'll unlock a new weapon, or we'll drop a new, acquisition chart, or whatever. Where like basically a battle pass where you can earn things and unlock new guns and new stratagems and stuff." And that's great. I mean, it's like an interactive, a way for the community to interact with the developers and say like, "Hey, you guys, if you go over here, you unlock a new thing." That's very fun. But where they really nail it for me is where they add like lore and like unlocking new enemies or new things. And like with the Void, for instance, like there's this new thing where there's like a sector of space on the map where it's inaccessible. And it's like the map is like and the map is like see-through, and you see like space. And people at first were like, is my game glitched? Is something wrong? And then developers are like, oh, we're hearing rumors that, there's this thing called the Void out in space, but that's propaganda from the non-voters. That's not real. And it's like, so they're like, now players are like, oh, that must be something very bad because they're pretending it doesn't exist. So the developers are acting like this, overly zealous, like super Earth, like dictatorship propaganda machine. And the players are like doing missions, but like, I don't know, this seems kind of weird. And there's been such cool stuff where developers will drop into games. I remember when the game was relatively new, before the mech suits came out. There was not mech suits or vehicles or anything. Developers would just drop into your game in a mech. Yeah. And they would walk around, and people were like, well, "Who the hell is this guy? What is happening? Like what?" And they would get on Instagram and say, "Oh, Helldivers, there's rumors that there's mech suits dropping. That must be, it's an angel." And like they're playing into like this. They're playing into this lore where like players are like a part of this narrative that's unfolding as you play, and week by week. Like last week, there was some new automaton walker bot that was like super fast, and it would run by you super quick. But like it was like the developers are kind of dropping these little Easter eggs live in the game for players to see. Like when the Illuminati came out, they would drop like maybe 1 or 2 Illuminati enemies on a map, and so players are putting on Reddit like taking screenshots and going, there's like a UFO, like what is this thing? And like it's just so cool to see how they're like evoking this like sense of discovery in a live service game that is happening right now. They're still able to keep it fresh, and like every time I go back, I feel like there's something new. There's a new gun. There's a new planet you have to fight for. I mean, it's just Left 4 Dead's great, but it basically when you beat Left 4 Dead, you're done. Like there's no reason to go back.
Never ends.
Yeah, I mean it's just even if the players take a planet, the game is it's perpetually happening. So you can be fighting. Yeah, so you can be fighting on a planet. Exactly. Yeah, so like I mean, Dad and I, the first time I had Dad here, we were playing together, and we're fighting for this planet for the major order. And by the time my dad went home, we lost the planet. It was gone, and it's like. And the developers are like, well, because you lost that planet, now this void sector is even bigger now. And people are like, what does that mean? And they're like, oh, well, that's redacted because the void doesn't exist, remember? But now the void's bigger. Yeah. And it's like, so eventually that's leading up to some big event. And
I love the devs getting the community involved. Hey, Helldivers, we need like 75% of active Helldivers to take part on this.
Yeah, and they even let you like vote. Like, planet. Yeah, they let the players kind of decide what the content will be. I remember at one point there was 2 major orders, and like one of them was like, hey, if you do this one, it unlocks, some new stratagem. But over here, if you do this one, it unlocks like a vehicle. So they're like letting players choose, like make your own adventure books where they're like, oh, I want to go do that. And it's just, I love it. I mean, they've nailed not only like the gameplay minute to minute.
And now when we get off here, I want to play Helldivers.
Well, like it's like the minute-to-minute combat is great, and then like the storytelling is great, and like Dad said, like you drop on a planet, and it's like, there's weather to worry about. There's like sometimes
Oh
you even
yeah,
run into like the SEAF, which is Super Earth Armed Forces, like normal soldiers, because Hell Divers are
yeah,
kind of like Spartans, and then there's like normal soldiers, and you'll
right,
like they'll be fighting, or you'll land on a planet, and you could see the aftermath of a huge fight that probably the Super Earth
yeah,
Defense Forces lost, and it's like
yeah.
there's a lot of really fun environmental storytelling, and like you're there, and the weather's cool.
And there's a
Like,
lot of there's a lot of diversity
oh,
to the
well,
mission.
so
A
after
lot of
you got
different
off earlier, there's a new strategic order is another one where they'll say, hey, you can get a bonus to the major order if you go do this other thing. And right after you got off, the three of us were like, hey, we'll play one more round. Let's see what the strategic order is about. So it sends us
Mhm.
to a Terminid planet, but it's part. If you look at the map, there's like the Terminid, like part of the galaxy that they've taken over. That the front line of the Terminids are over here, and at the
Right.
very back of it, it's like yellow and like um very like it looks like smoky almost, like you can't really tell what's going on. The
Right.
strategic order was in that, and that's because the Terminids had completely taken over, and they've turned that world into a hive world. So we get
Oh no.
there, and it's like, hey, you got to go in here and mini nuke these nurseries and destroy them. And then we do that, and it's like, oh, by the way, every time you do that, there's a chance that a hive titan can spawn. And it's like,
Oh no.
what's a hive titan? Nobody knows. Like, it's just this enemy that might show up if you blow up a hive. And it's I'll put pictures in here because I took some for Dad and I haven't sent it to him. The world looks completely different. Like the Terminids have like terraformed the planet to be like this toxic planet. And
And it's
what's
terrible. There's some environments you go into
oh,
with
dude,
Terminus
and
where they have they have these
oh my
spore
god, dude,
producing vegetation that puts out, it basically obscures the battle map. You're like
yeah,
basically in heavy fog where you might have visibility for 10 meters
yeah, or
and
like
you're like,
don't
I don't know
even
what's going on right
or
now.
like the blizzards. Like, don't even get me started on the blizzards that we're dealing with. But like, what's so cool is that planet might be a peaceful, normal planet, and then when the Terminids take it over, the map completely changes and it looks different.
Yeah.
So it's just, I mean,
So let us know. Are you
oh, it's
playing Helldivers
so good.
too? Yeah, let us know. Are you playing Helldivers? What are your thoughts on it? You can look us up online and send us a friend request. We're always looking for more squad mates in case our buddies can't join us.
Yeah,
But
please God, because the random teammates
jump in and help us out
sometimes,
because we
ooh,
need the help.
yeah,
So I think that is going to be it for us tonight. We
mm-hmm.
really kind of rambled on for quite some time, but
That's how we do.
that's how we roll. So we hope you guys enjoyed it and have stuck with us to the end.
Mm-hmm.
If you have, we appreciate you. We are up to 58 subscribers now, so one more than the last time you guys saw us. So we're going to be doing some other additional content. Like we said, we're going to have some friends and people that we know and game with online with us to do some interviews and just kind of give their perspective on things. To kind of give you guys a change in formatting and do a little things different, get some other player feedback. So we appreciate you guys. We appreciate your support. We appreciate you joining us here in the maze. I know our website's blowing up. We've got a lot of visits over there. Our
Mm-hmm.
Instagram is up to like 20,000 views a month, which is awesome. Our Facebook is taking off. We're getting fans and followers over there. So check out our socials. We'll have those posted in the show notes for you guys. And they're always up on all of our medias for you to check out. But with that, we will say goodnight to you. Happy Saturday evening. Happy April. I mean, we're into spring now. So hopefully the pollinating will be over soon. But as my friend Jim over at the Old Warlock will say, keep your sword on free. You are in the maze, so make sure you have plenty of torches. And we will see you next time back here in the maze.
Later,
Good
everybody.
night, everybody.